Let us pray. Father, I want to thank you for this day of life, this opportunity we have together and to do the people's business. Father, I appreciate the visitors we have today, and thank you for your watchmanship over them as they came. Father, I pray that you'd watch over us as we go to our homes after the meeting. And Father, thank you for this country that we live in, this tribe that we serve, and for the people that we work and try to do our best for. Help us today to make the right decisions in this meeting. Be with the chairperson and each member, and help us to do all we can for our people. And Father, I pray that you'll forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. You see, you need the roll call, please.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
Buell England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzer.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Mr. Shaw.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Braley. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin.
Honey.
Chuck Hodgson Jr.
Here.
China Glory Jordan. Present. David Thornton. Kara Cowan Watts. Honey. John Masters.
Boom.
We have a quorum.
Approval of minutes. Mr. Fishnell.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda under new business to include Ed Fight, who's here to discuss the landfill.
Second.
Do I have a motion is second? Motion is second. Discussion?
Friendly amendment, move it up toward the front so we didn't have to stay here all day.
I accept it.
Like approval of February 11th meetings, please. Approval of minutes.
We need to vote to amend.
You need to vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I moved to approve the minutes, I'm sorry.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'd like to call Mr. Potts, Ed Potts, for comments or discussion.
Either you folks want me out of here, or you really want to know what I've got to say. Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
How do I handle this? Do I just jump in there or yield to? Well, I'm one of your 3 members to the Environmental Protection Commission that the Cherokee Nation has. And I thank you for that opportunity to serve on that commission. There's been an issue that's been dogging Cherokee Nation for the last few years, and it's been the landfill. And really, I wanted to come today, not necessarily to represent the full commission, but to come and try to get my foot in the door to let you know that the Environmental Protection Commission, while we are the regulatory environmental component of Cherokee Nation, we also have an interest in seeing the Cherokee Nation flourish, and that whether it's gaming or whether it's whatever that might fall in our view of review as an environmental regulatory body, we want you to know as a council and members of the tribe that are here today, that we are not about the business of trying to say no on everything. We came across, the message was diluted as it relates to the landfill, but the message has been diluted in that there's been some contractual arrangements that have been made related to the landfill over the last few years, and now we find ourselves as a nation having to deal with the landfill. And I'm going to, from my perspective today, I can't tell you what you're going to do. I'm sure that there is a lawsuit pending related to the landfill, but I'm going to tell you as a member of the tribe and then also on the EPC commission that it doesn't matter whether that second party's involved or not, that landfill still exists today. And as I see it, we're down to 2 choices. and I'm not going to be a proponent for either one of them, but we're seeing some headway being made with the landfill as far as attention to some of the issues that have been out there related to cleaning up the neighborhood and trying to address some of the runoff issues at the landfill. And I really can't describe what the landfill looks like today to you, but I can tell you right now we have a landfill in Adair County that has a roof line that is not one that we would have on a landfill if we were going to close it. It's got valleys and depressions that run all over it. And as such, when we have a 25-year rain event over the landfill, a 2-inch rainfall event, then we have, depending on whose math you look at, we've got at least 8 known outfalls or discharge points where rainwater is hitting the landfill and running off of that landfill surface and causing sedimentation to Jenkins Creek, putting sedimentation in an adjoining landowner's pond, down gradient and so forth. And right now, the landfill's closed. And we know that we have lots of issues that are still looming there. We chose as a nation not to close the landfill when we had the opportunity, predating the Subtitle D requirements. So I'm just going to say, and I don't mean to be straightforward, but Cherokees are hooked now. We have a responsibility for that landfill whether we want it or not. Whether there's an ICI or whether there's any other group that's involved in the landfill belongs to the Cherokee people. And what you're going to be headed down the Primrose Path in the next little while is making a decision. Do we want to keep the landfill closed and go back to business and start moving some dirt and getting that roof line such and getting that final closure structure on top of that landfill footprint that's already there, where it's uniform, where we can dissipate the flows of the rainfall that hit it, that we make sure that we're not recharging groundwater with that rainwater that's hitting that surface. Where we are right now, we have some depression over there on the landfill that when it rains, it absorbs the water, causes leachate more, fills up the ponds, causes some issues. It's going to cost you, looking at the math, somewhere between $5 and $10 per cubic yard, depending on what kind of structure we get into to start moving dirt out there. What I'm hearing right now is that Cherokee Nation Businesses is pondering, and we're going to be discussing with them at a special meeting either on the 24th or 25th of this month, a possible inclusion of CNB to the existing permit. And they want to come in and open the landfill back up if they make that application, and to fill up the landfill as it should be filled up and come with that uniform roof at some point. So either the Cherokees are going to pay for it with no trash going into the system, or the Cherokees are going to opt to reopen that landfill, and hopefully we're going to be following a well-designed plan. Hopefully we will start with the end in mind. Honestly, I have to tell you that we've run that landfill solution by crisis. It's been underfunded, it hasn't been well thought out, and we were trying to do the best we could as a nation to provide trash service to the folks in these 14 counties, particularly Adair, Sequoia, Cherokee, and Lower Delaware County, southern half of Delaware County. We were trying to provide them an option for long-term solid waste disposal. And anyway, we need to be mindful of that, but we also need to be mindful that at some point the bill's going to come due for the closure of that landfill. We can do it one of two ways. We can either have a well thought out plan, continue to take solid waste, fill up the landfill according to how it should be filled up, and then put the final closure on top, and let those folks that are paying, let those folks pay the Cherokee Nation to do that by taking their trash and having the funds to be able to do that, or we can just say it's closed and then move to a closure. Either way, we're going to pay for it. Okay. Now, I have to be honest with you. I don't know how long it's going to the shelf life of that landfill will be, but I would think that if CNB is involved in this landfill, that they're going to be shooting for at least a 20-year window. so that they can bring enough money in, that they can ensure that not only are they able to operate the landfill, but they're also to close that landfill in time and have the money, the indemnity fund, to be able to say that that landfill will be monitored and maintained in such a way that it won't cost any more money. Now, as far as addressing the contracts that you've had on the loans and things like that, EPC, we have no role in that. There were a couple of counselors that came and talked to the EPC about that, and it's not our turf, it's not our jurisdiction, but it would have been nice to have been in on the front end of those discussions, because I may not be the sharpest or brightest crayon in the box, but Dr. Marty Matlock, who is one of the members of the commission, and Mark Green, an attorney from Muskogee, the other member, and certainly the staff at the EPC, we can help guide you through this if you decide whatever you want to do in the future. It's not our role, but we certainly have the expertise in place, and that we can work and review some of the things that CMB will be doing. But my hat's off to CMB for coming into, they're getting in a mess. The landfill is a mess, and but we need to deal with it. Cherokee Nation needs to be beyond reproach. And so you're going to be hearing from me in the future as they tool up at CNB and come forward with permit modification if that's what they choose to do, or whatever alternatives they're looking at. I plan to try to be present before this council so that there's communication. Because I don't want you to think that we're just over there looking for a reason to close that landfill or assess a fine. That's not what we're trying to do. I think it's prudent of the Cherokee Nation to provide trash disposal to its people. There's some discussion going on right now. Todd probably knows more about this. There's a contract with the city of Fayetteville that I understand is to the tune of about $100,000 a month. And that contract was executed. Was that executed by the council?
No. It was signed by Doug Danny.
Okay. There's some discussion going on about not accepting trash to the landfill if it reopens outside of Cherokee Nation land. In other words, northwest Arkansas. I don't know whether you can do that or not. That's an issue that you're going to need to talk to legal counsel about. And there's some folks that don't want out-of-state trash going into the landfill, and I think that that's probably lessened as far as an issue in that the old Sunray landfill over at Tawnytown has now been reopened and modified by Waste Management, so that they're taking some waste there. This is the beginning, and I can't tell you where we're going, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to be back to these meetings if you'll let me come, and I will try to, if I can, explain it in a sense after today where you can understand. We'll try to bring someone who will take very little bit of your time, but we want to keep you informed. Okay, whether we're going enforcement or whether we're going to open that thing back up, whatever we're going to do. And Councilors Crittenden and Fishing Hawk, I want you to know that I think between the three members that you have right now, we're going to do our dead level best to ensure that not only do we take care of that landfill, but we take care of your constituents from a regulatory point of view. I mean, we're going to go into it with our eyes open, and landfills are not well suited in this part of the country because of the geology. We have what's called karst formations, or limestone, underneath the surface. And water has a tendency to run between these fractured layers of limestone, and as water moves through these rocks, it makes those fractures wider. And Councilor Crittenden and I were talking about the pharmaceutical issue today that was in the news. And water likes to move through least resistance, and so. But the landfill seems to be sited in a place where apparently the experts say that's not causing too many problems other than what's running off. And if we can correct that in the short term, we will. And I know that thank you for the money that's been given to the landfill to get those leachate trailers. That's important to move that leachate. It's important to get that leachate pumped down below the liner, because the liner is only effective if the water is below the edge of the liner. If it's compromising the liner, then we're losing probably on the order of 1,500 to 2,000 gallons per day per surface acre. Typically, that landfill leachate pond should not allow more than about 500 gallons per surface acre per day to possibly plume or to go through the liner below that structure. So, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Lawrence, you had a question?
Ed, is it your understanding that if CMB runs the landfill, they'll run it and it won't be contracted out?
That's my understanding. On the 24th or 25th, we will have that permit modification. We got notice that the reason I'm talking kind of like I know what's going on is in the meeting of the EPC this month, we did, during the meeting, receive an application from CNB to be added to the Cherokee Nation landfill permit.
Is under your commission, can one of the limitations be that if they make application that they must run it and not bring in an outside management firm?
I don't think that the EPC has that authority. I think we have the authority to put them on the permit. But that will be something that I'm sure administration and the council will need to work together as a collective group with CNB to make sure that you put across to what you would like for them to do. And really, I'm kind of, I'm being speculative here, knowing what CNB is capable of doing, looking at the engineering firm that I've already had an opportunity to visit with, that they're bringing some folks to the table who absolutely know the business of landfills and how to design them and operate them and close them. And they're also bringing to the table that they want to, for the first time I've heard the buzzwords, they want to actually treat this landfill like a going concern and at the same time protect the environment. And if we pay half of the amount of attention to this landfill as we've paid in the past to developing our casinos, the Cherokee Nation, with the resources that come to bear through the collective efforts of everyone, the synergy that I've seen, we can have a top-notch landfill at Vail, Oklahoma that can, one, be environmentally sound, two, provide service, and three, provide jobs. Because right now we have a train wreck over there and we're still responsible for it. So let's make lemonade out of these lemons.
Councilman Baker.
Yeah, and Ed, the landfill as it is now, you said it's not anywhere close to closure. It's, I think you called it the roof line is all wrong. But they can't take any more trash until they build a new liner. Is that, or a new sale?
That's correct. Now, there are some areas where there could be some trash deposited right now and have it daily covered and fill in some of those roof lines that already have some lining underneath those. To the west, to the southwest, they're going to have to take off the top of this rock layer for this new cell that's maybe proposed that be 6 to 8 feet deep. That they're going to have to go in with dynamite and blast that rock off the top so they can accomplish that. But from what I've seen, the initial design is they're tying all of that together, and the engineering firm is actually going further than the original Cherokee design. I don't know, I may be speaking beyond you, but I think that we've been operating that landfill off a previous design for the most part. And this engineering firm is trying to look at those 8 to 10 discharge points where water that's hitting the landfill now or more are corrected, where we can control all the water that goes off that landfill. And so where the old scales are and the old maintenance building, that possibly could be all torn down and made into part of the landfill itself. But the ultimate goal is to have a uniform roof, just like a big stadium with terraces, where when that we're targeting a 25-year rain event, typically a Q25, but we're going to also, from what I see from the engineering, they're also factoring in Q100, which would be that 100-year event.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins.
Yeah, Mr. Pike, putting aside the costs and putting aside whether it's a good business decision, putting aside whether it will create jobs, would the Cherokee people of the area where the landfill is be better off from an environmental standpoint if we just closed it, ceased operations?
Not right now, not in the current shape. If we just walk away from it now and leave that roof line over there, we're going to have leachate problems, we're going to have the sedimentation problems, we're going to have the runoff issues into Jenkins Creek, which is a tributary of the State Scenic River, which not so much as it's a scenic river, but we need to be thinking it's a major water supply down gradient at Fort Smith, Arkansas. It's their water supply. So we need to be doing our best to protect them. We all live downstream.
Thank you. We have more questions? Ms. Fishenhoff?
Ed, how long until we're in compliance?
Depends on the effort given. But I think that I've been on the EPC a number of years, and some of my previous members that I've worked with, the landfill has been one of the frustrating issues, that there's not been any resources or any real attention paid to the landfill. And honestly, I can stand before the council now and say I'm starting to feel pretty good about what I've seen in the last month or two as far as the Cherokee Nation stepping up to the plate and saying we won't deal with this landfill. I'm encouraged by what I've seen, in other words. Now, whether we'll be able to get there, I don't know, but at least we're talking about it. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, on their permit, they're asking in March, the end of this month, it's my understanding the other day, they're asking to open it up and start taking trash again, start developing a cell and start doing, accepting trash again. Isn't that correct?
Sean West is here, but I think that they cannot open that landfill right now. There's a number of issues that need to be dealt with. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as the landfill goes, if they are issued a new permit to operate the landfill, there will be a compliance schedule on there, which is a schedule of activities and things they'll have to get up into operational. The time frame usually is like we give them like 30 days or 45 days or 60 days to get problems that are out there right now up and running, or then we can revoke the permit if they don't get those considered that on the compliance schedule.
I will tell you my two members that are serving on the board with me, Mark Green and Marty Matlock, they are more staunch than I. They will wield the stick of regulation if necessary. But again, I'm not saying we're going to roll over and say time out because it's the Cherokee Nation now that's just in the game. What I'm trying to bring to bear is that in my role, I understand that this is beyond the scope of what I was set on the board for. But at the same token, let's make some lemonade if we can. Let's find a solution that serves the greater good for all of us concerned.
And it might be towards Meredith. Can the council, if it desires, set up where we agree that we will not take out of state trash? I realize the EPC can't, but can we write legislation?
You can write the legislation, but then it's up to the body,
Yeah.
of course, to make the decision.
Let's hear from our attorney.
Yes. Yes. I mean, to answer your question would be yes. You could pass an act. It would have to be an act. It couldn't be a resolution. It would be the law of the land that any landfill gone by the Cherokee Nation shall only accept trash or waste generated within the Cherokee Nation. That would be the type of wording that you would do. Obviously, I mean, you think through the ramifications of that act, but if it passed, it'd go to the chief. The chief would either sign or veto it, and then you would have the option to sustain or override veto.
Any more questions? Thank you, very good. Natural Resources, Angela Bruce.
She's so tall.
Boy, he looks like Angela.
I'm down.
Now it's tall.
Been a little ill. Angela's been a little ill. No, in keeping with what we've been trying to do, group leaders are trying to respond to many of these, and I actually asked Angie to follow me over here today because my little girl got sick and had to pick her up from daycare, and I was going to have her fill in for me, but she also decided to pick up my little girl for me, and so now she's at the office infecting all the staff at the moment. But as far as natural resources, I hope you guys all have our report that was submitted. Big things I wanted to just comment on are our staff have been working on the Dorothy McIntosh Memorial site here, just to the west of the council house. We've gone through and cleaned that up, and we've been working on that site. One of the reasons that we are doing that is to work on our ethnobotany project of planting a crop of corn near that facility, and part of that will be addressing Dorothy McIntosh's site and keeping that up and clean. So that's been done in the last month. We removed poison ivy, weeds, prune trees, and also cleaned out the little creek that runs through there and planted some native canebrake. And the other thing I wanted to address, both on that and the facilities, as Mr. Fight was speaking, we did purchase the Cherokee Nation purchased some trailers to haul the leachate from the landfill, but Natural Resources and Facilities loaned them trucks. Actually loaned them our 2 best trucks so that they can continue to haul the leachate from the landfill. So we have loaned 2 vehicles to that operation to keep the leachate running, to keep that site as pristine as we can keep it there at the landfill. As optimal as a pristine is, we're trying to do the best we can. That's all I've got on natural resources side.
Angela, do you want to say something?
One of the things I forgot to mention to you that we probably want to go ahead and make you guys aware of, I know that you can see the Dorothy McIntosh garden from this building here, and one thing you might keep in mind is when that river cane starts growing and really gets up, it's going to probably block your view a little between here and like the restaurant and that area between there. So we don't want you to think it's just being unkept, but that river cane is going to get tall and it's going to create a visual barrier. So I hope that doesn't bother you guys. That was just the best place for us to put it right now so we can keep an eye on it and it have some water, and it was just the most best location for natural resources to maintain it, but it may block your visual.
I think ultimately what Angie's trying to say there is that you guys are the seedy neighbors we just didn't really want to see all the time. So we planted a big canebrake there, and that was the only place we could justify putting it. But that creek bed is about the best area for us to put that in. So.
The other thing too is once we get the garden established, we had visited with you earlier about the opportunity for different programs to possibly take on little garden plots. That was not really going to be feasible, so we have found a way to get all of our different varieties of seed farmed out to different people that are going to grow those for us. But once we get this garden established over here, it's going to be white flower corn. If anybody's interested in getting to come over there and do any weeding or work in the garden, you're more welcome to come over, and Pat Wynn's kind of the ramrod of that. So for I'll lay on your side if you want to be part of that. Just contact Pat and he can schedule you a day.
Thank you. Joe, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd,
Yeah.
I'm glad you cleared it up about them trailers, because I was thinking, I couldn't remember buying 2. So you
I'm
loaned
sorry?
him 2, right?
Yeah. They actually bought 2 trailers, but we loaned them the trucks
Okay.
to actually haul it.
The other question I had was just the Flint Courthouse over there by Delonaghy.
Yes.
Did someone have time to go look at that?
Yeah, we went by and looked at it, and what was?
We went over and did a lot of repairs to the road and stuff so that the friends of the Merle home could get up there. Now,
There you go.
as far as the roof issues, we are working on getting someone out there to give us an estimate of what it's going to take, and we're also looking at the chain link fence around it as well so that we can get that fixed. Where the cattle have been leaning on it, it's getting rickety as well, but we're having estimates still.
Thanks for the attention, Angie.
Ms. Fisher,
When we was in the EPC the other day, we was talking about the airport lease with Stillwell.
Yes.
Trying to figure out what day it come up. I asked them, they pulled it out. 25 years is up on May the 18th. Andrew.
It was actually one of the things I went through. We actually met with the city of Stillwell about 2 weeks ago. We also went and talked to Facet, and we went by and looked at the airport strip while we were there. And we had a lot of debate and concern about the status of the airport. I reviewed a packet this morning of transcripts going back and forth between the Cherokee Nation, the FAA, the City of Stillwell, and back and forth, our Marshal Service. And basically, that lease was terminated with the city. And it also read in the grant requirements that grant, as long as it was in a state that it was going to require funds to make it optimal for usage again, then we could formally close it. So basically it was a one-time project to build the airstrip, and then it was our own, and then if it got to the point of in disrepair bad enough, then we could formally close that facility. And I think original estimates were about $395,000 to build it back in 1983.
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Buzzer.
Todd, what's the status on those FEMA trailers?
Glad you asked that. I was going to talk about that in our facilities report. The last time, I can't remember if we had received notice, but several weeks ago we received notice based on the news on 60 Minutes, and there was a special on KOTV that they had done on the trailers. FEMA and the Center for Disease Control called and said, until further notice, we will no longer be distributing. In fact, they hadn't really distributed any trailers at that point. They said until further notice. And about a week and a half ago, I got a fax back that said they were going to be conducting testing on the trailers at their expense. And once the determination's made on those trailers, they will release those back to us or come up with some other provision or tell us that we're not getting the trailers at all. I will let you know that we had selected the 12 applicants in several of the counties. Housing Rehab had already started getting the sites prepared. The Housing Rehab staff had actually gone out, visited the site, gone through every one of the trailers, inspected them, said that they were all of excellent quality. We had paid for the additional HUD label inspection, verifying that each of those trailers passed HUD inspection and met their approval. And in fact, 2 days prior to the announcement, we were actually engaged with the environmental group to conduct our own individual assessments on those trailers for formaldehyde. But I'm hoping probably sometime at the end of April, 1st of May, we will get word back on the status of those trailers if they're going to turn those loose. So all trailers distributed through FEMA have been held up at this time.
Any more questions? Thank you, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Real Estate Services, Linda Donaldson.
Good afternoon. My report was not in the packet. I did hand it out. I don't know if you all had a chance to review it, but I did want to let some people know that we had an issue about a house at the Westville School, it's kind of in the parking lot there, and the school was wanting to purchase it. And because of the age of Miss Ratcliffe and that she would have a problem with going somewhere else at this time, they're wanting to go ahead and not do anything about that situation for now until if she goes into the nursing home or goes to live with one of her children, she may want to sell it at that time when she's not going to be in it. And so they decided to set that issue aside until later. The Park Hill Community Association, we had done a resolution last year to let them lease the Owen School building that's across from the Heritage Center. and they have leased that, and they've received some funds from Community Services, Community Building Project, and they will start doing their remodeling this week. I believe they have some students from Trinity College that's coming up to help them out for a week. We are starting on our scanning project to actually scan the documents in our Lottie files. We've gone through about 1,000 files, and we had to remove all the paper clips and the staples and everything. And we're getting ready to feed those to the scanner, and so that's all getting ready to go pretty good. On the Shilako, we've been talking to people about doing mineral leasing. We've actually got one company that's really serious about leasing the property, and they'll be getting back with us within a couple of weeks. This company that called us has partnered up with another company that has a 3D seismic truck that they can go out there and run the seismic and see where would be the best places to drill. So I think that we've got somebody that's really serious about doing this job. We also received word just today that the Talentiski deed has been signed and it's ready to be picked up in Oklahoma City. And we didn't want them mailing it. We thought we'd better pick it up. And the last thing that I had was that the Office of the Special Trustee is going to conduct a trust review, and that's going to start March the 17th. So I guess we'll have to have all our stuff in order. And that's all I had.
Chris, do you have a question?
On the mineral lease inquiries, what areas are they specifically targeted? And are you starting to get a lot of inquiries about this particular arrangement? Or?
We've had at least 3 different companies that have talked about it, but this last one is the most serious. And what they're wanting to do is to lease the whole trust acreage plus the fee acreage that we have out there too, which means that it's not just our Cherokee land, but it will be also the other 5 tribes, the Otos, the Poncas, the Pawnees, Kaws, and the Tonkawas.
So this lease would actually encompass the entire Cherokee Nation?
Right, and the other 5 tribes tract. Because we have 50% of the minerals that the 6 tribes own, and we have 100% of the minerals that we own in fee. So,
who's all involved in the negotiations for
the other tribes?
Yeah.
We have been talking to several of their people that do their minerals, as well as some of the chiefs. So before we get involved with the final negotiations, we will have them involved, because although the Cherokees have a right to go to lease the property, their surface acres as to what kind of damage or bonus monies that they want, that would be their choice to make a decision as to how much they would want for those. So we do have to make sure that they're okay with everything.
Councilman Cobb?
My neck of the woods, we're talking about oil and gas. Is this just an exploratory drilling procedure, or are we looking for oil and gas?
We're actually looking for oil and gas.
Okay, just checking. All right.
Because they were talking that if everything goes out the way that they want, they would be looking at maybe 20 to 30 wells a year. Yeah, but that depends on how those formations fall out, because they're looking at a Wilcox formation, a Red Fork formation, and a Cleveland formation. Mm-hmm. They say it all runs through that area. It just depends on where they are.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Roads and Transportation, Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon. I'll try to make my report brief this morning or this afternoon. I know we've got a pretty full agenda and things went on, some extra stuff added to the agenda. On the projects that we've got going right now, the Daytown Dry Creek project in Delaware County, moving along very well. I was up there this morning and talked to the contractor. They're expected to finish phase 1 by the end of this week, he's hoping, and begin asphalt sometime next week or the week after, and then move on into phase 2. He said if the weather holds out like it's going to, that he's expecting to this week, he should be able to move right along and get through the last 2 phases. The first phase was probably one of the most difficult of the 3 phases that they've got on the project, so we're hoping the next 2 phases move a lot quicker. Red Barn Road here in Cherokee County, under construction. Got curb and gutter in, some of the under drain in. They are working on getting the ag base ready, and they've requested to go ahead and pave the first about the first 3 miles of the project, and get it the first 3 miles finished and completed all the way through signing, striping, and everything on the first 3 miles. We have not responded to that request yet, but it is being considered right now. Twin Oaks Bull Hollow job in Delaware County is just in the final stages of the design. It's being checked right now by the staff. Right away is in the very preliminary stages as far as drawing up the easements and things. We'll be starting to acquire those right-of-way parcels here in the very near future. Barber Road, about the same situation as Twin Oaks. It's in the final design stages as well. It's a little farther along as far as right-of-way goes. We're waiting on the easement to come back from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. That's one thing that's holding us up on that project as far as acquisition goes, because we cannot begin acquisition until that easement or that environmental assessment has been approved by the Bureau. Rice Woodard Road here in Cherokee County, we're starting to attempt to relocate some utilities. Had a meeting this morning with, or this afternoon I should say, with gas company or gas authority here in Tahlequah about the gas lines that are out there. We're trying to work with them on ways to get the gas lines relocated. We are waiting on one final parcel to come through that, to my understanding, last week I believe there were 3 commissioners or appraisers appointed by the court for the condemnation case on that particular project. So we're hoping now that the appraisers have been officially assigned that they'll come through with a speedy evaluation of that property, and we can go ahead and proceed with the project. But it is moving along. And then lastly, I would like to mention Cedar Crest Road and Bridge in Mays County. We sent a final offer to the commissioner for the around the bridge properties, the Drury properties, what we refer to it as in the past. The commissioner has chose to forward that request or a letter, final offer letter, to the district attorney, and we're waiting to hear back from him on that. So that's where we're on that project. It's just some things that we've had this past month. We had a road dedication and community meeting and dinner on the Fairview Uchi 2 project in Kenwood on the 26th of February. Had approximately 120 people show up. Had a really good turnout and a good dinner. Had a lot of positive comments and feedback on the road. That was definitely a success. We've been working feverishly on our inventory update, which is due Friday of this week, that we'll be talking about here in just a little bit later on the agenda. We have made an engineering design contractor selection. We chose 2 contractors to assist or aid us with our road construction, or road design, I should say, and engineering. One firm is out of Edmond, Oklahoma. It's Red Plains Engineering. And another firm that is a firm that we've worked with in the past, Holloway, Updike, and Bellin out of Muskogee. Those selections have been made. And lastly, I want to mention for Mr. Masters here, a project that we talk about quite frequently. It's a Stanwady Road project up in Delaware County. I met with Mr. Buzzard, Mr. Snell this morning at the Delaware County Commissioners meeting, and we asked the Commissioner about this particular project, and Mr. Masters, he hoped to have it completed by the end of next month, which would be the end of April. So that's we'll try our best to hold him to that best we can. So, but he is working on it. He's aware that it needs to be completed. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Cobb, you have a question?
On this IRR roads, are most of these in Washington, are those down there by Ramona? Is that what we talked about? Or
yes, sir. I've got maps that I'll pass out when we get to that, but you bet. Those are the ones around Ramona area, yes, sir.
Have you received any more correspondence from County Commissioner Herndon?
No, I have not.
And the bridge that we talked about over there by Ramona, have you gotten anything to the Have you just not heard back, or have we kind of got that in the workshop?
Last I remember, I supplied you guys with some information, you and Mr. Anglin with some information. As far as the financial information goes, confirmed that with Mr. Evans. And I think we need some signatures from you guys on the requests, and then we can make it happen.
I'll get with you. Okay. I'll check on that with County Commissioner Hernan. I'll check on her.
Okay.
I know she's in the midst of an election, so.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Buzzard?
Yes, I had a question, Michael. I've heard or saw on the website where I'm going to talk about transit funding. You know, we had a special meeting on transit funding here 3 or 4 months ago, and the Cherokee Nation has applied. But I understand the allocations have come out for 08, and then it also stands our friends down the road received around $300,000 or $400,000 for transit. Have we got anything here at the Nation? Did we get any notification that we got it?
No, sir, we didn't. I did bring the Federal Register notice because it just came out this week, and we had discussed transit in the past. There were 65 tribes across the United States that were awarded dollars, anywhere from planning dollars to enhancement for existing services and startup dollars. Total of $10 million spread across the 65 tribes that applied. 10 of the 65 were Oklahoma tribes. Oklahoma, I guess you could say, brought in just a little over $2.1 million. The instance that Mr. Buzzard's speaking about, the United Katua Band was awarded $327,000 for a startup grant, and oddly enough, out of the Oklahoma share, that was the largest portion of the funds allocated.
A follow-up question. Do you know if there's any way we can submit an inquiry to Federal Highway Administration or the Transit FTA to see why we didn't get ranked up there to get funded for that?
I can check into that. I'm sure there's a way to request that under the Freedom of Information Act, but I'll find out if we can, and if that's available to us.
Request that for you to check that out if you don't mind.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Cobb?
Can you tell me, and if you don't have it in front of you, it's okay. Can you tell me what the criteria are for receiving those funds? As far as my question is going to jurisdiction.
That I don't know, but I can tell you the process you go through. And it is a proposal type process. You've got to submit a proposal and a plan, a transit plan. It is competitive, obviously, and but as far as the nitty gritty down to the jurisdiction area, I can't really answer. It'd be something I'd have to check into.
Good, thank you.
But that's also been a question of ours as well.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you handle that.
Okay.
Is that all the questions? Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Construction facilities, Tony Lowe.
Good afternoon again. You guys have the report. One of the things I wanted to make note of, last time we had selected the vendor but hadn't negotiated a contract for the Marcoma dorm renovations. That is GSE Construction. They started work on February the 19th and are progressing right on track and on schedule. We are also installing insulation in the Marcoma gym, and that started February 25th, and that should have been completed last week. A couple of things I wanted to highlight for you. The septic system rebid was due by the 27th. We've actually made it. Yes, that's the Powwow Ground septic system. That is installing an 8-inch force main sewer to tie into the city of Tahlequah. We have selected Jerry's Excavation, and they should start work within the next couple of weeks. And as soon as they get started on that process, we'll also start the project of renovating the bathrooms to tie into that new force main once they get that installed. A good chunk of that cost is also going to be installing a lift station because we have quite a bit of a climb to get up to the top of the hill. But What that will allow us to do is for future expansion, to expand the bathrooms without fear of overloading the septic systems during a few events of the year that we have where we actually take advantage of the facilities to its full potential, and also allow us the ability to put RV parking slots and dumping stations there for the future. Already talked about the FEMA trailers. And the trucks, and the only other thing is the immersion classroom parking lot. That is adding about 68 parking spaces and an access road off of the Child Development Center's parking lot. And those bids are due back this Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We had a couple of questions during the bid process, but I think we should have several vendors that will be bidding on that as well. I think that's all I've got at this point.
Any questions for Todd? Mr. Buzzard?
Todd, you may not know all, and you may know, what was the bid on the sewer system for the college rooms? You remember?
148,000.
Not bad.
Right, 148, 149.
Okay.
We had two vendors that were within $37 of one another. I think we had 5 total bids, and we had 3 that were within one another, and we had 2 that were like $343,000. But we were very pleased with 148,000.
Yeah, that's a good bid. Thank you.
We have more questions. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Very good. Environmental programs, Tom Elkins.
Hello, I'm Sean West. I'm not Tom. Tom has what everybody's got, the sickness, so we told him to stay home today. I just wanted to come and give you a brief overview of what's going on in environmental programs. You have the report in front of you there. I won't go through all the details of it. I just wanted to touch on a couple things. I wanted to draw attention to the environmental work that we're doing at the court mall, the courthouse, the jail, and Supreme Court building as part of our brownfields program. We're able to do some environmental assessments of these buildings through EPA grants. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight for you. And I wanted to highlight the Oaks wastewater treatment facility. We worked with them on doing an environmental review on that, and that seems to be up and going. It was a good community project. And I personally am the person that does the landfill for the environmental program and works on the landfill. So the landfill section's on here too. If there's any questions you guys might have about the landfill, I'd be glad to answer them now, or we could talk about them at the EPC meeting or the special meeting that we're having next week. The landfill right now has some operational issues, and we go to the landfill every week, at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, to do inspections on the landfill. Even though it's closed, we still do the inspections. So I want you to know that just because the landfill is not operating, we're still out there doing our environmental work on it. We're not just sitting in the office and letting it go. So I know that there's really not enough time to talk about the landfill in 5 minutes or whatever we got here, but we are going out there, and now that those new trucks have been bought to pump the leachate, I think that we're going to be a lot better on that leachate problem we have out there also. So that's about all I really have for my report. If there's any questions.
Mr. Soap, you have the floor.
Yes, you got a notation here on the highlights that you had a NOV at the Saline Creek for gravel mine.
This is the possible notice of violation. We haven't issued a notice of violation on that yet.
Is that to a private landowner, or is that to an existing?
What will happen on that is if there's an issue with that, it'll go to the EPC commission, and the EPC will issue the notice of violation. And I'm not exactly sure if it's to a certain person or to a group at this time. But I just know that it's a possible notice of violation. It's not actually been a notice of violation hasn't been issued on it so far. Still investigating.
Mr. Buzzard, you have the floor.
Sean, on that Oaks Waterworks treatment plant, it says the environmental issues were favorably resolved. Does that mean that they got plans to go ahead and start construction whenever they get the rest of the paperwork done?
As far as I know on there, the issues were resolved, and I don't know if they've got the clearance to go yet on it or not. I just know that that was holding the process down and it was making it slow down, and I'm not for sure if it's been okay to go, but I think the issues have been addressed. So.
And you're working also with Billy Hicks in the Water and Sanitation Department?
Yeah, the other people in our office are working with Billy, our other environmental review officer. And I can check with them, and I can get back with you and let you know if there's a start date or if there's some kind of a award letter or something. If you want me to, I can check on that for you.
Oh, okay, I think community service is coming up tomorrow. We'll check with Charlie on it.
Okay, if you can't get something, just let me know, and I'd be glad to check on it for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
More questions? Thank you.
Right.
We go to old business. We have a resolution authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs to revise and update the Cherokee Nation's inventories of Indian Reservation roads.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Got one question.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't notice that being, and Michael Lynn, does this need to be on the full council agenda tonight?
Yes, it does. Thank you for mentioning that.
I don't see it on the full agenda.
It's not, it'll have to be added.
Okay, can we do that? Or is she gonna do that? I can, or the chairman can.
Yes.
Since this is going to be in the agenda tonight, are these some of the roads we talked about in Ramona?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I don't know if this is appropriate to do this right now before you vote, but I would like to pass out some maps real quick. I know we're running a little bit behind, but I've been wanting to get these to you guys. Would you like them now?
Yes, please.
On this functional class,
Yes,
is
sir.
higher better or lower better?
I'm sorry.
On the functional class, higher the number, earlier the funding, lower the number?
No, that won't have anything to do with the funding necessarily. That's the functional class as far as how ODOT and Federal Highways classifies those roads. You've heard us talk about major and minor collector. It's that type of stuff.
So 7 means what?
Well, I was afraid you were going to ask me that. I'm not exactly sure without checking.
Willis Road is a 7.
Okay, I'll have to find out. I'll get with you this evening and let you know.
This one is basically.
There's some duplicates in there. There's some duplicates in there.
Boy, you did feel a lot of trouble. You just got them for every council there, didn't
Just like county.
Sitting right here.
I need one.
She's
at large.
Did I give you the wrong one?
You gave me Cherokee.
That's time.
That's time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I just picked it up. Hey, Michael, I like all this red up in the north end now. I'm sure he's already seen it.
Mr. Chair, are we on item number 2?
We haven't voted on this yet.
I thought we just did
we
vote
did.
on it.
We did.
We're on new business.
We voted on item number 1 under new business, so we're on item number 2?
No. New business
Oh,
one.
old business, okay. Then what- I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 1 under new business.
Second.
Here's a second. All in favor, yea?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 2 under new business.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we...
Second.
Our next meeting day will be April 14th. I hear a motion to adjourn.
That was motion to adjourn. Second.
I never did hear that part. Oh?
Oh, wait a minute, we put some new roads in Maryland, didn't we? Just kidding.
Second.
Adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.